And when it comes to establishing your worldview, I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this to stay informed and to understand the world?
I've read most of them, again, with a great appreciation for the press, for the media.
But like what one specifically, I'm curious that you...
all of them, any of them that have been in front of me over all these years. I have a vast variety of sources where we get our news to. Alaska isn't a foreign country where it's kind of suggested. It seems like, wow, how could you keep in touch with what the rest of Washington, D.C. may be thinking and doing when you live up there in Alaska? Believe me, Alaska is like a microcosm of America.
Why isn't it better, Governor Palin, to spend $700 billion helping middle-class families who are struggling with health care, housing, gas, and groceries? Allow them to spend more and put more money into the economy instead of helping these big financial institutions that played a role in creating this mess.
That's why I say I, like every American I'm speaking with, we're ill about this position that we have been put in, where it is the taxpayers looking to bail out. But ultimately, what the bailout does is help those who are concerned about the health care reform that is needed to help shore up our economy, helping the... It's got to be all about job creation, too, shoring up our economy and putting it back on the right track. So healthcare reform and reducing taxes and reining in spending has got to accompany tax reductions and tax relief for Americans. And trade, we've got to see trade as opportunity, not as a competitive, scary thing, but 1 in 5 jobs being created in the trade sector today. We've got to look at that as more opportunity. All those things under the umbrella of job creation. This bailout is a part of that.
The America I know and love, the quitter governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin, began, is not one in which my parents or my baby with Down syndrome will have to stand in front of Obama's death panel so his bureaucrats can decide based on a subjective judgment of their level of productivity in society whether they are worthy of health care. Such a system is downright evil. Of course it is, Ms. Palin, and that is why it does not exist, has not existed, and would never under this president, nor any other president, ever exist in this country. There is no death panel. There is no judgment based on societal productivity. There is no worthiness test. But there is downright evil, and Ms. Palin, you just served its cause. You shouted fire in a crowded theater, a hot theater, and then today tried to roll it back with, no, sorry, not fire, I meant flashlights.
If a 15-year-old is raped by her father, you believe it should be illegal for her to get an abortion. Why?
I am pro-life, and I'm unapologetic about my position there on pro-life, and I understand good people on both sides of the abortion debate. Now, I would counsel to choose life. I would like to see a culture of life in this country, but I would also like to see taking it one step further, not just saying I am pro-life and I want fewer and fewer abortions in this country, but I want then those women who find themselves in circumstances that are absolutely less than ideal, for them to be supported. For adoptions to be made easier.
But ideally, you think it should be illegal for a girl who is raped or the victim of incest to get an abortion?
I'm saying that personally, I would counsel that person to choose life despite horrific circumstances. That this person would find themselves in. And if you're asking, though, kind of foundationally here, should anybody end up in jail for having had an abortion? Absolutely not. That's nothing that I would ever support.
I just want to ask you again, do you condone or condemn the morning after pill?
Personally, and this isn't a McCain-Palin policy.
No, that's okay. I'm just asking you.
But personally, I would not choose to participate in that kind of contraception. Now, the president, with all the vast nuclear. Now, the president, with all the vast nuclear experience that he acquired as a community organizer. And as a part-time senator, and as a full-time candidate, all that experience, still no accomplishment to date with North Korea and Iran. Nuclear.
Sarah Palin, taking aim at your decision to restrict use of nuclear weapons, your pledge not to strike nations, non-nuclear nations, who abide by the non-proliferation treaty. Here's what she said. She said, it's unbelievable. No other administration would do it. And then she likened it to kids on a playground. She said, you're like a kid who says, punch me in the face, and I'm not going to retaliate.
Yeah.
Your response?
I really have no response to that. The last I checked, Sarah Palin's not much of an expert on nuclear issues.
Nuclear.
It's the first big nuclear arms treaty in 2 decades.
Nuclear.
And President Barack Obama signed it with a flourish alongside Russia's Dmitry Medvedev, both voicing the hope it leads to a safer world.
The key is for the United States and Russia to show leadership on this front, because we are so far ahead of every nation with respect to possession of nuclear weapons.
Nuclear. Still no accomplishment to date with North Korea and Iran.
The Russian leader now says he'll go along with smart sanctions to get Tehran to behave.
Do you agree with the Bush doctrine?
In what respect, Charlie?
The Bush, well, what do you interpret it to be?
His worldview?
No, the Bush doctrine, enunciated September 2002.
Nuclear.
What insight into Russian actions, particularly in the last couple of weeks, does the proximity of this state give you?
They're our next-door neighbors. And we've got to keep an eye on Russia. For Russia to have exerted such pressure in terms of invading a smaller democratic country, unprovoked, is unacceptable, and we have to keep...
You believe unprovoked?
I do believe unprovoked, and we have got to keep our eyes on Russia under the leadership there.
Can you look the country in the eye and say, I have the experience and I have the ability to be President of the United States of America?
I do, Charlie.
Have you ever met a foreign head of state?
I have not.